Hello friends, welcome to the world of Chhuti Presents Escape into Audio Stories in English. We will read stories primarily of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Southeast Asian origin and in English language. We'll try to read in neutral accent as much as possible and with our best attempts. We will focus on literature for kids and children. Today we are going to read Letters from a Father to His Daughter by Jawaharlal Nehru. Letter 11. What is civilization? I am going to tell you something about the early civilizations. But before I do so, we must try to form some ideas of what civilization means. The dictionary will tell you that to civilize means to better, to refine, to replace savage habits by good ones. And it especially refers to society or a group of people. The savage condition of people when men are little better than beasts is called barbarism. Civilization is the reverse of that. The further way we get from barbarism, the more civilized we are. But how can we find out if a person or a society is barbarous or civilized? Many people in Europe think that they are very civilized and the people of Asia are quite barbarous. Is this because the people of Europe put on more clothes than the people of Asia and Africa? But clothes depend on the climate. In a cold climate, men put on more clothes than in a hot climate. Or is it because a man with a gun is stronger than the man without a weapon and is therefore more civilized than him? Whether he is more civilized or not, the man who is weak dare not to tell him that he is not, or else he might get shot. You know that only a few years ago there was a great war. Most of the countries of the world were in it, and every one of them were trying to kill as many people on the other side as possible. The Englishman was trying his best to kill Germans, and the Germans were killing Englishmen. Millions of people were killed in this war, and many thousands were maimed for life. Some have no eyes left and are blind. Others have no arms or legs. You must have seen many of these mutiles de la guerre, war-wounded people in France and elsewhere. In the Paris Underground Railway, the metro, there are special seats for them. Do you think it was a very civilized or sensible thing for people to kill each other like this? If two men fight in the streets, the policeman separates them and everybody thinks how silly they are. But how much sillier and more foolish it is for the great countries to fight each other and kill thousands and millions. It is just like two savages fighting in the jungles. And if the savages are called barbarous, how much more barbarous are the countries that behave in that way? So, if you look at this question in this way, you will say that the countries that fought and killed in the Great War, England, Germany, France, Italy, and many others, are not at all civilized. And yet, you know that there are many fine things and many fine people in these countries. You will say that it is not easy to understand what civilization means, and you will be right. It is a very difficult question. Fine buildings, fine pictures and books and everything that is beautiful are certainly signs of civilization. But An even better sign is a fine man who is unselfish and works with others for the good of all. To work together is better than to work singly, and to work together for the common good is the best of all. Letter 12. The formation of tribes. I have told you in my previous letters how man was very much like an animal when he first appeared on the earth. Slowly, over thousands of years, he developed and became something better. At first, he must have hunted all by himself, like some of the wild beasts today. Then he found that it was wiser and safer to go about in herds with other men. If many men kept together, they were stronger and could defend themselves better against the attacks of beasts and maybe of other men. Even the animals go about in herds in this way for their own safety. Sheep and goats and deer and even elephants move about in herds. When the herds sleep, some of them remain awake and watch over them. You must have read stories of packs of wolves also. In Russia, in winter, these wolves go about in packs, and when they are hungry, as they often are in winter, they attack men. One wolf would seldom attack a man, but a crowd of them feels strong enough to attack a party of men. And the men have to fly for their lives. And often there is a race between the wolves and the men on sledges on the ice. So also the first advance in civilization that early men made was to combine together in packs, or as these are called, tribes. They began to work together. There was what is called cooperation. Each man had to think of the tribe first and then about himself. If the tribe was in danger, every member of it had to fight for it and defend it. And if any person in the tribe did not work for the tribe, he was kicked out. Now, if people work together, they must act in an orderly way. If everyone were to do just what he pleased, there would not be much of the tribe left. So someone has to become the leader. Even the herds of animals have leaders. The tribes of men also chose the strongest man amongst them as their leader. As there was a great deal of fighting to be done, the strongest man was chosen. If the members of the tribes fought amongst themselves, the tribe would soon break up. So the leader saw to it that fighting within the tribe was not allowed. Of course, one tribe could and did fight another. This was an improvement on the old method of each person fighting everybody else for himself. The first tribes must really have been large families. All the members of them were related to each other, but the families grew and grew till the tribe became quite big. It must have been a hard life to live for men in the early days, especially before tribes were formed. He had no house, no clothes, except perhaps some skins, and he must have been continually fighting. To get his daily food, he had to hunt and kill animals or gather nuts and fruits. He must have felt that he had enemies everywhere. Even nature must have seemed to him an enemy, sending hail and snow and earthquakes. Poor little slave he was, creeping about the earth, afraid of everything because he could understand nothing. If the hail came, he thought that some god in the clouds was trying to hit him, and he became frightened and wanted to do something to please this person in the clouds who sent the hail and the rain and the snow. How could he please him? He was not very clear or brainy. He must have thought that the god in the clouds was like himself and liked food. So he would take some meat or kill an animal, sacrifice it, as they say, and leave it somewhere for the god to eat. He imagined that he could stop the rain or the hail like this. This seems very silly to us, as we know why rain comes or hail or snow. The killing of an animal has nothing to do with it. But silly as it is, there are many people even today who are ignorant enough to do such things. Hello friends, you are listening to Letters from a Father to His Daughter by Jawaharlal Nehru. Please tune in to Chhuti Presents Escape into Audio Stories for other episodes. Till then, goodbye and stay in touch.